what is there about this American president, this administration, or even his senior officials, which would give us any reason to believe that they would have the sophistication and the subtlety to succeed where their predecessors had failed? What is it about the circumstances in the Middle East that would give rise to a belief that there was a significant opportunity being created now that didn't exist in the immediate past? What he's going to talk mostly to the Israelis about is Iran, because that's actually the principal concern that they have. It's actually, we should note that it's pretty good news that Rouhani is winning the election. Looks like winning the election this weekend.
Possibly helped by Washington not reimposing sanctions. So
possibly helped by Washington not reimposing sanctions. But that's the major game. The major game is Syria. I don't imagine that Trump wants to invest. Well, I mean, who learns very little, as we've talked, wants to invest more than a kind of scintilla of his energy and status in the question of what happens between Israel and the Palestinians.
Openings, I think we've been talking about openings since the late 70s. They just don't, they occur and then the window closes. It just doesn't happen. And as I think as David's making a very good point, first of all, this administration is totally distracted. Secondly, where is this terrific cadre of people that is going to make this happen? Jared Kushner?
The son-in-law, the first son-in-law, I should call it.
Yes.
Also, how can you talk about an opening for peace when this man is going to Saudi Arabia to sell weapons? So Saudi Arabia is on an arms race, is the country in the world that is spending more money in proportion of its wealth into weapons. It is antagonizing Iran, and Trump is there to give them more weapons. So I don't know how you can talk about openings, certainly not for peace, in my view.
What about the next stage of his trip? As he goes, he's going to be at the NATO summit in Brussels. He gets to go to Sicily for the G7. He also meets the Pope. But he's going to have some potentially quite interesting conversations, not just with Pope Francis, but also he has a first meeting with Emmanuel Macron, the new president of France, who is old Europe and proud of being old Europe. Indeed, the man wants to revitalise the EU. It's quite hard to see much kind of meteor minds going on in any of those.
No, I think it's going to be a steep learning curve, even for a man like Trump. I think he's going to learn quite something in meeting the Pope and Macron. I think they're going to tell him that actually the world is not as he sees it. And especially I think what is relevant and important to watch is the 25th of May NATO summit in Brussels, where Trump and his view of the world and NATO is going to have a very kind of wake-up call of what is the reality of NATO and defence in Europe.
We've got this intriguing briefing we've had, David, that apparently the notes for this summit are being designed in such a way that they keep mentioning the president's name to keep him interested, but also they're kind of trying to keep him quite short as well because he doesn't apparently have a very big attention span.
What are the chances that in 2 months' time he'll be back in the White House and he'll have a delegation from somebody? He said, I met the Pope. He said, I wasn't very impressed with him. There's a really big chance that that's what Trump will do, if that's what he kind of feels about the people. The Pope says, well, actually, we want greater human rights, etc., around the globe and more emphasis on poverty, so maybe your capitalism shouldn't be quite so rapacious. And Donald Trump says, I've really learned a big lesson here, I think I'm going to change significantly my outlook towards it. Or is he going to go around and say the Pope's a nut job?
Well, let's leave that question hanging in the air, and perhaps we'll find out after next weekend.